Thousands of sharks from Florida have suddenly and mysteriously started summering in Long Island. The question is, will their human neighbors get used to having them around? Blacktip sharks are a relatively small, non-aggressive species of shark that most of the year they're found down in Florida, but during the summer months when it gets too hot for them down south, you find them farther north. They tend to travel up to North Carolina, at least in the past. More recently, scientists have noticed, though, that they're traveling much farther north than ever before, all the way to Long Island. I spoke to a scientist who's been monitoring them for the past 10 years or so, and he noticed fewer and fewer of these sharks down in Florida, and meanwhile, around a quarter to a third of their population could be found up in New York in the summer months. This new migration pattern is due to climate change. The oceans along the Atlantic seaboard have warmed a lot in the past 50 years. Since 1960, temperatures between Maine and North Carolina have gone up over 3.5 degrees Fahrenheit. That might not seem like a big difference, but for a shark it is. They can't cool their bodies down the same way that humans do, so they start to overheat really easily. It's not super clear whether they're going up to New York because they're getting too hot or because their food is getting too hot. They could just be chasing whatever it is that they like to eat. There's no evidence that their populations are declining, and it could actually mean that they're adapting to these changing ocean conditions. However, we do know that this is bad news for humans. Although blacktip sharks don't have the same fearsome reputation as great white sharks, they are responsible for more shark bites than any other species. This is because they're found in the same areas of ocean where people tend to swim. So Long Island already has plenty of sharks. We have great whites, we even have tiger sharks, but they're really far off the coastline. You're not going to run into them very often. The thing is with blacktip sharks is they hang out even where the water is waist deep. So when people get a bite from a blacktip, it's most often on their leg. Getting bitten by a blackfin shark might not be life-threatening, but it's still not fun. Steve Kajura told me that you still wind up with a mangled hand or foot. Luckily, there are ways that you can avoid these sharks. Just don't go out at dusk or dawn or in other conditions that make it difficult for these sharks to see you. Remember, they don't want to bite a human. They're only exploring because they think you're a fish, basically. So also avoid wearing shiny jewelry or anything that looks like a fun splashing fish, and just making a lot of commotion in the water, like splashing around a lot. So if you follow these instructions, you should have a pretty good chance of avoiding sharks. Be safe out there.